Good morning. So I want to talk about leaving people behind on the spirit during the spiritual awakening and how you have to be willing to leave people behind. People that have that are very important to you, people that you love, and and leaving them behind. I don't mean like abandoning them, but during the spiritual awakening, and it's kind of like a paradox because you have to be willing to leave people behind, but when you get to the point that you are progressing on your spiritual awakening and it becomes the most important thing that you are doing, you start realizing that it's much larger than you, and kind of inherent is the leaving people behind. It kind of happens on its own. And as you go deeper and deeper within yourself and overcome things, it kind of naturally happens because the things that you are interested in, the things that are getting the limelight in your life, the things that you are understanding are so detrimental and they are so hardcore. They're so core. They're so intense that things that are more shallow, things that are more surface, don't really interest you anymore. And to hold down a conversation about things that are 3D, it's not something that will. It doesn't feel like it is time well spent. The deeper we go in the spiritual awakening, and the more we progress, and the more that we expand, the more our life expands, and the less that we have even the capability of sitting down and having a very like 3D conversation about, there's only so much that we can, those things don't really interest us, or or we don't feel the importance of having those kinds of conversations anymore. And kind of naturally, as we go through this spiritual awakening, we kind of bypass the people and places and things that are out of sync with our new with our core vibration, or with the bigger picture. So it's like our picture keeps on getting broader and broader and broader, and then or it's like going through into a different dimension, or going into a different mindset completely, or a different world even. And when you come back into things that you used to be able to hold conversations around, they just don't interest you anymore. They just don't feel like a place where your attention and your time is well spent. And so kind of it's kind of inherent that as we go along this spiritual awakening, and as we broaden and as we go deeper, we start losing and releasing and bypassing people in our lives. The vibration starts becoming out of sync. So if you used to be here and now you're way over here, you don't really have that connection, that vibrational connection even, with people in your lives that you used to. And you can still love them, and you can still hold them special to your heart, but during this expansion, we go into like these other dimensions, and we start seeing the world in a completely different way. And the old denser 3D matrix kind of way of thinking, or putting your attention on things that are menial, that did that, on possessions, or interactions that aren't important, like people taking things personally, and they said this and they did this and that, and you can see right through it, because you from this new perspective, or this new expansion, this other dimension, this other way of looking at life, this other perspective, you can see that those things aren't relevant. You don't take those things personal anymore. The conversations that you have are at such a different level and different place that by nature you bypass people in your life, and it isn't done with any, it's just kind of like a letting go. It isn't there isn't any kind of rigid, or there's no rigidness to it. It's very soft. It's just kind of like a parting, and in a way of pure love. It's just realization. It's very mature. It's a mature parting. It's, you know, people that you used to rely on for emotional support, or an interesting conversation, or, you know, that they are, you know, we have people in our lives like good friends or life partners, that know where we are, you know, people that keep track of your lifeline or your life story, people that you share your life with and know exactly where you are, and are paying attention, and that you can call and say, oh, this happened, and they know they're caught up with your line at some point. When you bypass them, you know, everybody is where they're at. There is no better or worse, or leaving, you know, I'm just using terms because we have to translate all of this into words, and it's the best words that I'm finding right now to express this. But as we bypass, or as we evolve further on our spiritual journey, many times people that haven't evolved in that way can't even perceive or understand where you are on your journey. They are not in that world with you, so they kind of just fall out of your world. They kind of just fall out of being able to really comprehend what you're going through. And then when you're speaking with somebody and they don't understand your perspective, or where you are and where you're coming from, and how you are seeing the world and how you are interpreting the world, their opinion on what you're going through is irrelevant. It becomes irrelevant because they can't perceive what you are perceiving, because you are here looking at the world through these goggles or these glasses, and they don't have those glasses to be able to see the world. So whatever I am telling them, it's like falling on deaf ears. It's like that old saying, don't throw your pearls in front of swine. It's the same saying, and I don't mean swine, but I mean, like, if you have something of value that has taken you immense pain and understanding and courage to go through yourself to get to those understandings, to be able to solve yourself in these places, overcome your ego of the why me, and being the victim of your life, and rather understanding, you know, the divine recipe of it, the divine cause and effect, how things came to be and what they've come to teach you. And you get to these immense understandings. You understand that it's divine, and you've gone through yourself and gone through the pain to get to where you are. And you understand it as an absolute, right? Absolute, right? Everything is relevant, but you understand these things because you have gone through them, and you speak of them in front of somebody that can't get it, and they're judging it. And I don't mean judging in a bad way, because we're always making judgments. Even putting things into words, are making judgments of the word to interpret what we are thinking and what we are doing, right? So judgment is an inseparable part of life. We have to judge. That is why we have memory of the past. That is why we have emotion. That is why we have projection. To say no judging, I understand the no judging part, but it kind of leaves your life wide open. But even in order to make a decision, which we make hundreds, if not thousands, of small, intricate decisions a day, we have to use judgment and common sense. So there is no as long as we're in this human form, we have to use our judgment. It's keeping our judgment fluid is what is key, keeping all of that fluid. But if we have come to these immense, intense realizations because of having the courage to go through ourselves and feel the emotions of it and work ourselves out and remove the false behaviors and understanding our weaknesses and archetypes and coming over it and overcoming it. And we get into a conversation with somebody who hasn't gone through that. They cannot see what you see, and they are judging. You might be speaking of something that is completely divine, and they are judging it from a perspective of somebody that hasn't gone through that and can't understand it and can't perceive it, and from the old 3D mindset and matrix way of looking at things and mindset of scarcity and not understanding purely what you are saying. At some point, it's irrelevant. You don't even feel like wasting the time. It's not really wasting time, but it's like throwing your pearls in front of swine. It's like you don't want to, something that is so divine and so holy and so magnificent, and you put it out for somebody to like jab at from a perspective that doesn't even understand it. Not only is that, it's kind of like it's like bringing something divine into and putting it in the mud, right? Because if you know from the beginning that they're not going to be able to perceive this, it's boring almost to bring it. You don't even want to bring it. It's holy. It's divine. You don't want to bring something that's holy and divine and put it out there for somebody else to try to pick apart when you know that they can't even understand what you're talking about. And that in that way, it doesn't become interesting. It's not interesting to bring something of such value to somebody that they can't see the value of it. And so part of growing is outgrowing. Part of the expansion is expanding beyond the people that are in your life. And through this expansion, the feeling of this expansion of the spiritual awakening is so grand and so beautiful and so awe. You become in such awe and wonder, and everything becomes magnificent. And when you come into this place, you don't want to be sucked back down into, and not only do you not want to be sucked back down, you can't be sucked back down. It bores you, the old conversations of the lack and those old 3D perceptions. They're not relevant to you anymore. So you can still love the people in your life, but you don't bring these other aspects that you're going through, the things that are the most important in your life. You don't bring them to the table anymore, so you lose that kind of closeness. And it happens in a way that is it's soft. There is no blame in it. When you get to this level of consciousness, you understand that every person is working through their own demons and working through their own the places that they are stuck in their own world and in their own expansion. And quite possibly they have expanded in places that you didn't, that are their own, that's their own path. And it becomes uninteresting. So bypassing people on this during the spiritual awakening, and also your spiritual work becomes your life work. It becomes the thing that is most important. It feels so good to go and through yourself and solve yourself and rise into these places of this higher, right, of expansion, that becomes the most important to you. It's not, you don't have pain in that parting. There is no pain in it. It's kind of like, bon voyage. I'm on my path, and you kind of just see it as, okay, that's what it is. I'm continuing on, and there is no pain in it. There is no pain in either side of it. It's just kind of like a moving on. And so this talk is about bypassing people during the spiritual awakening, or bypassing. I don't like that word because it's kind of like I'm better than you kind of judgment, but but it's not I'm better than you, but it is expanding beyond the people in your life. And it's there is no judgment, there is no good or bad. It's you're expanding in a way that they aren't expanded yet. So sending you guys so much love. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was helpful. This is good.